right, here we are, episode 8. Like I promised, we're going to be doing a complete canister by hand. No press. We're using this tool you see before you right here. Right there. This thing is pretty heavy duty, well built. Let's talk about the top swage here real quick. We have a 1-inch strike plate that is 4 inches long. You don't need all of that, but it spreads out the impact from the hammer a lot better if it's a little bit longer. We have a 1/2 inch freaking die plate with 3/16 freaking thick dies on this top piece. On the bottom piece, it's connected through the hardy hole by a bolt and a bolt sleeve with a washer. That bolt sleeve comes up against the washer and the nut tightens right up against that. So you can build your own pretty easily to your own anvil dimensions. This one will pretty much fit anything from 130 pound anvil down to an 80 pound anvil. I should clarify, any London pattern style anvil. It has uprights here that help stabilize and hold in the top die, so it's not going to bounce off or fall off or anything like that when you put the metal in there. The bottom die has the same 3/16 inch metal that forms the dies. All right, the biggest on this one, on this particular tool here, the biggest can that you can use is a 2x2 can. 2x2 can. Your piece goes in there like that. This only goes on there a certain way. Mine does, at least. We're going to end up using this for the entire process. Now, what is this going to get us that we can't do on the press? Nothing. This is if you don't have a press, right? If you don't have a press, this is a really good way of doing this. So what are we going to learn from using this? Well, if you look at the earlier billets on the press, we had all these cracks going down the corners. What that was probably from was overpressing the individual sections of the can. Now, my press dies over there are only 1 inch wide. All right, they're only 1 inch. So the metal is 1 inch thick. So you can't press down super hard, or it's just going to treat that can like a tube of toothpaste. It's just going to move the metal away from where you want it to be instead of keeping it and compressing it where it needs to be. So in those instances, we ended up overpressing our can, and we're going to verify that with this right here. So let's get on over there and put our can together, start putting our powder in, and get this thing closed up and thrown in the forge. All right, same as before. We have our 4% nickel powder and our 1095. Now, what we're going to do this time that we haven't been doing, because we've been vibrating it down and trying to make sure that we got it all evenly as we could mixed, we're just going to let it mound. We're just going to let it mound up, and we aren't going to vibrate it at all. We're going to leave it how it is. We're going to let it do its thing and go on from there. So we're going to start out with our 4% nickel. We're just going to start dumping. Now, this may turn out different than what we want. May not be anything we want. But really, this video is more about showing how you can use a hand-built tool that fits on your anvil to make Canister Damascus. And we're also doing some testing on the Feather Damascus challenge. You know, much smaller can though, but still. And I'm not paying attention to getting the scoops exactly the same every time. I mean, they can only be so different because it is a half a teaspoon measuring spoon, but one's a little mounded than the other. You get a little bit more here, a little more there, which is get it, in theory, give us that movement in our pattern that we're looking for. It's definitely going a lot quicker with these smaller cans, that's for sure. Now we will do a little vibration after we get our quill formed. Just a little one. It's not getting on the same, it's not gonna be the same everywhere. So it's gonna be, these are gonna be quite different, I'm thinking. This can will, it may not be what we're looking for, but what if it is? You know, you never know until you do it. Okay, put my lids back on here. Even if we have to go back in them, just good to keep your lids on. That way, oop, we kind of vibrated that, didn't we? Yes, we did. Now this will line up a little bit better. We'll have to do it as many times. Probably still do it twice, but I'm just gonna take and all the way down. That's about as much vibration as I'm probably gonna do. Is we'll just gonna vibrate this, lift, and we'll do it one more time. Now, a lot of our freaking powder, we're still missing some powder here, right? I'm not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna stick this in there and we're gonna weld this in. Get this all in, put down there. Remember, it's gonna be usable. It's just not, it's not that important to have a crap ton of steel in there. It's more important to show what the tool can do and that it can do this, and we'll be good to go. So I'm gonna weld this down inside here, weld it in there, and then we're gonna take and trim off our excess. Next time you see us, we'll be basically coming out of the forge and using that tool. All right, we're just about there. Almost ready for this first test. I may end up putting a glove on this hand. This is gonna get hot. Yes, sir. Interesting. One thing I might do, not right now though, is round these edges that come in contact with the canister. It really squished it down, kind of formed the can a little bit. It looks like it's working. I mean, it's looking like it's supposed to. Normally, if you have played around or seen the videos, we're gonna work both sides of that can. Well, with this, we're only gonna get one pass on each side without going back to the other. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, we'll see. We're gonna start with it on the far side. Pull back a little bit. Walk it back. Like anything, it's going to take a little bit to get used to. And if you don't have your anvil fixed in a position, this would definitely force you to do so. We're going to try 2 passes. Getting a little bit of a squeeze on it. Not doing too bad. It's slow. It's really slow. It is slow, but I mean, if you don't have a press or a power hammer, this is the way you got to do it if you want to do it. It's probably going to take 4 to 5 times the amount of heats, but it is working. Things staying tight, no deformation in the tool. Yeah, it's doing good. It's less like the press than I thought it was going to be. The look of the can, but still very familiar at the same time. Got to fight it a little bit, but like I said, if this is all you got, this is all you got. Loosened up a little bit, no big deal. This is hot. Glad I got my gloves on. Tell you what, this would work a whole lot better if you had a big anvil, 250 pound plus. That way it wouldn't move. That big, giant, immovable object with this attached to it, and that's all you had, you'd be fine. And if you had a striker too, that'd work too. Someone else swinging a sledge at this, bam, bam, bam. It would work perfectly. Absolutely. It's a little hairy out there right at the end, but I think that'd be fixable. Like I said, I rounded off these edges here. Not such a sharp edge. I mean, realistically, the only thing keeping me from doing this the whole time is the camera's dying. That's it. I think that's the technique right there. Hit it and just pull back. It's getting a little warm. My entire anvil's moving. Okay. Straighten out the old anvil again. Definitely taking the top die off is almost a must. That way everything has a chance to kind of cool down. Now I'm not cooling this down with the air. I'm just cleaning off the scale. But yeah, rapid hitting that and pulling back seems to be the best option here. Now, obviously, I wish my piece was weighted down, but I think what I'll do is I'll grab my Trenton here. And I'll put it behind the feet of the Hercules. Try and get a little extra weight so it won't move. That worked pretty good. Yeah, just putting that anvil back there worked really good. And for sure, that rapid hitting and pullback is the way to go. We've probably squished it by a third, but we're going to keep going for at least a couple more heats. Ooh, that's hot. Got a good bubble out there. It's doing a really good job. I'm going to give it 2 more heats. We're going to go rapid hammering a little bit harder. See what kind of squish we can get on this. A big hammer kind of wears you out a little bit. Still really good. It's hot, but it's holding together. Okay, it's the last heat. While it's in the can, after we get done with this heat, we're going to put it back in the forge, shut the forge off, and then we'll come back out when it's all nice and cooled off. Using a smaller hammer. Okay, not too shabby. This is hot. I think it worked great. There's no deformation in the dies themselves. I mean, it only came really loose and barely loose that one time. So far, so good. We're looking pretty good. Really like this. It's pretty neat. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because this is being given away to one of my subscribers. And we'll be in touch. First of all, this tool worked very well. We'll get into, did my hypothesis be proven right on the billet here in a minute. But let's just take a look at this tool a bit more. And let's talk about, where this is going. All right, let me pull this apart and we'll take a look at a couple of the different pieces of the tool that you didn't get a chance to see yesterday. So this is how it's connected through the hardy hole. A bolt, it's about a 5/8 bolt, and it has a nut, a washer, and the sleeve, right? So we have this sleeve. The washer goes on right there. Turn it sideways here for you. Washer goes on right there, then the sleeve, then the nut. The sleeve is angled so that you can get a really nice tight fit, and that the meeting place between the sleeve and the nut is square. And you just tighten it on. This bolt has a few flattened threads, but no big deal. It sits in there like that and pulls it right up tight underneath your anvil through your hardy hole. It's a pretty neat little tool, and I mean it's not that hard to build either. It's literally pieces that you probably have laying around your shop. 5/8 bolt, however long you need it, or you can just use 5/8 rod, thread the damn thing, right? Depending on your hardy hole size, you know, you can go bigger and you just thread it. You can also pin it. You don't have to thread it. You can just pin it. It's going to move at that point. But yeah, it's pretty good. Strike plate kind of deformed a little bit, but that's what it's supposed to do. Kind of bulbed out here on the sides, but that's okay. What it's supposed to do. Everything held up right. The freaking dies held up good, but we kind of knew they were going to because it's not taking as much pressure as a full size press would, right? So you're not gonna have issues with it not holding up, with it not being strong enough, because you're not putting that much pressure on that. Even when it's hot, you're not putting that much pressure on that. So, but yeah, that is a really cool tool. We'll come back to that tool here in a minute. Let's talk about our billet. Now, before we look at the pattern on it, the hypothesis was that we were overpressing with the hydraulic press, which was causing more of an extrusion process to happen than a compression process to happen, which is why we were getting cracks along our corners of our pieces. Now, you can see where I cut into the freaking corners here, but there is no cracks in this. This is one solid piece of steel. And the only thing that was different was that I'm not able to overpress it with a hammer. All right. So moving forward with the press, we need to take more heats, be a little more patient with it, and we need to freaking go just a little bit at a time, right? And just barely press it down, just barely kiss it each time, and just take it slow. Just take it slow. Would it help if I had bigger press dies on my press? Absolutely. But unless I redesign the die plate and beef it up, which I still can, and make it fit within that system over there, which is just going to be more work, basically. I just need to make the time to do it. It's going to be okay for right now. I just need to take it a little bit easier and not press down so hard, trying to make it quick, right? Because even this route we took wasn't that much slower. All right. So with that being said, the tool 100% works. But did the pattern work out? All right. So we have the pine cone pattern, which looks like a pine cone cut in half. That was the first billet we did, where we took and just used 1 teaspoon measuring, right, with a fixed barrier in there. And that wasn't what we were looking for, you know, but cool design nonetheless. The second billet we did was where we took a half a teaspoon and we no fixed barrier in there, and we layered it in and we vibrated, layered it in and we vibrated, layered it in and we vibrated. Then we pushed in our quill, right? On this one, it's kind of a combination of the two. It's because we still use the same size of measuring spoon that we did on the second billet, but we mounded and we weren't really caring, you know, where the steel went. We just threw it in the can. And it shows. We have a absolute quill moving through there, which you can see. I mean, it's truly a combination of the first billet and the second billet, and it's not bad looking. It actually looks a lot like tiger stripes, and not feather, but tiger stripes. You know, right along the ridge line, the back of a tiger. That's what it looks like, kind of. And you know, it's really cool looking. It's not what we're looking for. So the mounding technique is not necessarily what you're looking for if you're going for feather. You need to layer it in evenly. Don't just dump it. Shake it across there so you get a nice layer each time with each metal, right? And then vibrations. Vibrations, I think, are key because they're gonna really level out. And there's different things that we can do to create movement. This didn't create as much movement as I thought it was going to, but it still looks cool. We actually had more movement in the last billet, right? So moving forward, we're going to evenly disperse our freaking steel throughout our canister. We're going to go light pressings all the way through our piece. We won't even need a vertical press at that point. I'd never vertical press this. We're going to eventually build new dies for the press, and that's it, you know. So in episode 9, we are going to go back to the press, and we're going to put in place all of these procedural steps that we talked about and that we discovered. We already knew it. Knowing that I'm not able to press as hard with a hammer as the press is, that's why you get a press, because it makes it quicker, a little more precise. The hand hammering did exactly what it was supposed to do. Made usable steel, ready to go right out the can. And I couldn't be happier. So, pretty cool. Okay, let's go back to our tool here and talk about what's going to happen with this. Because I did say that it was going to be given away. There's a gentleman, assume it's a gentleman, that's been watching my videos and commenting, and we saw one of the comments. The reason we did this whole build was because of that comment right there. And he's going to receive this. So if you're watching, you get to this point, please leave a comment. I'll get in touch with you, and we will absolutely ship this to you. All I need is a mailing address, and you will have the ability now, no excuses except for time, to start making Canister Damascus. So I hope you enjoy it. And we'll be doing more of these. We'll be doing more of these little giveaways. But this one made sense to me to be the first giveaway for someone who expressed a desire to do it, but didn't know how they could possibly do it without a press. Well, this is how you can. So I hopefully you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed using it and making it. And big thank you to Riley River Forge, Justin Riley out of Riley River Forge in Dixie, Washington, for helping me build this and give it to you. So thanks, everybody. We're going to leave you on this one right here on episode 8, and we will see you again on episode 9. Stay safe out there. Be well. And as always, for John.